Hey guys, welcome back to Paracord Planet. Today we're going to be making a can koozie out of paracord. 4th of July is coming up, so of course it's going to be red, white, and blue. For this, you're going to need 30 feet of blue paracord, and then about 20 feet of each white and red. And then I've got a little cord lock, just to cinch the top. And for tools, a forceps is going to help us out, or a crochet hook would also work. And then lastly, some Canada Dry. What's that doing here? So to start off, we're just going to cut a small section of paracord to become the top of our can koozie. So we'll wrap it around the top of our can and just leave a little bit of a tail end on either side. About a foot of paracord is going to do you. Then we'll melt both sides of that paracord. And depending on your cord lock, you might need to put those into a little bit of a point so that they'll fit through the hole. All right, once that is through your cord lock, you can cinch it around and ready to begin the actual weave. So we'll take and put a fresh end on this guy. And we're just going to knot that around our cinch cord here. Just a simple overhand knot to keep it in place. And then we'll begin our crochet weave. So that involves taking a bite in our cord, or a loop, bringing it up through the bottom, then forming another loop in our standing end, folding that top loop down, and putting this one down through. Then we cinch all of our cords down until all of our cord is just in that one loop. So the first couple times trying this out, I tightened these things down way too tight, and it made it harder for me in the long run. So just cinch things down until you start to feel some resistance, and then call it good. So we're going to keep on doing that all the way around. Just each time, take that loop that we have at the end of the step, bring it underneath, fold it down, make another loop, and bring that through. So the second row gets a little bit different. Once we get past our cord lock, we'll be going on to that second row, and instead of just looping it underneath that top cinch ring, we're going to be looping it through each of these bottom loops. So this is kind of where the forceps comes in. We can reach through each of those loops, grab our new loop, and pull that through. So starting with that one next to our just overhand knot that we started with, take our new loop and pull that on through the knot. The rest is pretty much the same. We can then fold down that loop, make our new one, slide it through, and cinch it down. Again, don't do this too tightly. I found that if I wasn't able to pull this loop through without the forceps, then my knots are probably too tight and I was making things harder for myself. So we'll keep doing that for 5 more rows, and then we'll move on to our second color. Once you have your 5 rows of blue done, we'll add in our white. And before we cut off the end of our cord, we want to make sure that that one is anchored in. So I've got one loop here. Where that sits, I'm just going to add my white cord through that as well, with the end of the cord on the inside so you can't see it. And then we're going to pretty much go on like normal. Tuck that out of the way, and in our white, we're going to be bring that up through the next loop. And then once we're totally done with our blue, we can clip that. I'm just going to leave a little bit of extra for now and pull that one cord through like so. So now that we're done with our white row, we're going to do pretty much the same thing to add in our red, except we don't want to cut the end of our white cord, since we'll be coming back for another white stripe in our American flag koozie. So let's deal with the ends that we have first before moving on to that third color. So on the inside, we've got our white cord and our blue cord. We just want to cinch both of those knots tight, and then we'll trim that up and flatten it against with a lighter. That's really warm. Now we're ready to move on to the next step. So in this case, since we have more white cord to pull through our knot, we're just going to loosen that last loop or so. See if I can take some of the slack out. And where we have our loop going through, we can just pass our whole hank through. So now, just like before, we've got a single cord going through, and that's where we're going to start our red. So we'll take the end of our red, pass it through there, and then cinch that down. So now we're ready to start that next row of red. Once we finish our red row, we'll go back to another white one and keep on going back and forth until we finish our can. So here's what it looks like with 3 rows of both red and white. And we've arrived at the bottom of our can. So we're going to weave the bottom, and that'll be the end. On this, we're going to do every other loop rather than every loop to kind of cinch that down into a smaller row each time. I've got enough white left, so I'm going to do it with white. But if you've got more red by the time you get to this, just depending on how tight you did your weaves in the first place, then go ahead and use that instead. So I've just switched over from my red to my white and done my first knot. So now that I have that loop, instead of going up through this one right next to it, I'm going to move to the next one in the row. So loosen that a little bit, fit my loop through, and do this part like normal. And on these, you might want to cinch it down a little bit tighter, as we want that to form a bottom instead of going straight with the wall of our koozie. Then it's probably a good idea to clip this red cord and seal that off. Since once we get our whole end done, it's going to be pretty hard to reach our lighter in there and do that. So we'll do that first, and then keep on going until we finish off the bottom. Once you've filled in the hole and gone around enough times, we're just going to end it the same way that we ended our other colors, by sticking the end through our loop rather than another loop. And there we go. We'll finish that off. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and will try it for yourselves. We'll put links in the description to where you can find all the materials for your project. Thanks for watching, and have a happy 4th of July.